Hey, welcome to volume two of the Human Performance Newsletter. Hopefully, you enjoyed the first one. And again, if you like it, please share it with a friend or someone you might think would be interested. At some point, I might get a fancy camera or lighting. I know it kind of looks like I'm a hostage or something, but they're treating me well, feeding me, so everything's good. This one, going to talk about landmines. I'm a big fan of landmines. I think they're so versatile. They're so affordable. You're kind of only limited by your imagination. There's things you can do with them that you couldn't do with a traditional barbell, dumbbell, kettlebell, which I like. You can try to add layers of specificity. It's easy to progress, regress. One of the things is hard to predict kind of what weight to put on the bar because it's non-traditional. As far as you're probably not going to max out and base percentages off of it. You could get creative and put VBT on it, but there's so many ways you can set one up. Ours have attachments on the rack. You can see on the left the YouTube video when I had a little more hair, probably like 2007, I think. Probably started using them a little bit before then. I can't remember when they were kind of came on the scene, but I've literally wedged that bar into an old school weight tree. You can do that. You can wedge it into a corner. There's a company that you can buy a little attachment where it doesn't slide on the floor. You can buy the cheapest version probably is where it inserts into a bumper plate laying on the ground. I mean, again, you you're not the title of that video. I think it's Poor Man Training I made way back when. You can afford a landmine, and you already have a barbell if you're training. I think it's a must-have for garage gyms if you're working out at home because you'll get so much bang for your buck with all the movements you can do. And later in this, I'll have a link to 50 landmine movements that you can use, and you'll watch it, and you'll probably have done a lot of them, seen a lot of them, or it'll make you think, hey, well, what about this? Send them my way if you have movements that aren't on there. And have a great, I'm blessed with interns and GAs that I helped with that and did a great job. And hopefully they'll be involved in future one of these as well. So it's versatile. It's cheap. You can train in different planes of motion. Originally, I started using it because I like the fact for linemen you could hold it with a neutral grip while you're standing and strike, which I thought, man, this is great. This is kind of a poor man's hammer jammer. If you're old enough to remember a hammer jammer, we didn't have enough money, so we started using the landmine to train striking. And I actually like it better than the jammer back then because there wasn't one path. A hammer jammer is a plate loaded machine. With a landmine, if you don't stabilize the bar and yourself and lock in your shoulder, that bar can go kind of anywhere it wants to. And then started using it with throwers as well. You could really get in a kind of standing throw position and do overweighted movements that I thought helped in the ring as well. And then from there, just kind of kept growing it, experiment with it, and it's always been a part of the training I've done now more than ever because we redid our facility and we're blessed and it's amazing. But we had to shave some money like everybody does on one of those projects. So we didn't have kettlebells or dumbbells. So this whole summer and now during the school year, we don't have dumbbells or kettlebells. I was curious, can we use a landmine pretty much for anything you would use a dumbbell for? Um, and the answer so far is yes. There's nothing like, man, we can't do that with a landmine, or we're really missing out on our training. And as this one's continuous rolling, it's just a fun one. I thought, it's kind of a plyo. You get a little stretch shortened with the hop back. It's a total body movement. It's very dynamic. If you like the term ballistic, but you can see how that would carry over to a multitude of sports. Another reason I like landmines is it's hard to mess up. I find that athletes with a little training background tend to do really good with the landmine because the technique seems to be simplified with that anchor point. I don't know what it is, a sense of comfort. Um, it's easy to dump the bar if you had to on a lift. So that's another reason I like it. And then going to the next slide, just a couple more movements that we used a lot this summer recently. Again, these are only three, but and I always build it into a progression of um, we wouldn't just hop into that movement you just saw and or these two, but we definitely would progress to it. And then hopefully you're beginning to see kind of your wheels are turning and your imagination is going, oh yeah, well, I bet we could do this movement. Try it on yourself, and if you don't break, then experiment with a team. And then with a landmine, it's kind of become a cottage industry of what can you attach to it. Up top, a YouTube video. I don't have these. I am kind of curious or interested in a belt squat. So a lot of do-it-yourself versions. There's companies that sell a sleeve and an attachment for it. I don't know. I think it's a great idea, and I know what I can afford. I can't afford pit sharks. So you got someone with a mangled hands or a shoulder that can't put a bar in a front rack position or back, and they want to squat. This might be something you'd have to buy the harness from Spud or somebody to attach to the belt. And then the YouTube below, it's a Viking press. I think Titan Fitness makes it. And top right is a soup bone. See this associated with a lot of linemen. In fact, the when I was at Cistercian, we had a great welder. He made all our racks. He's amazing. It wasn't like Joe Blow the welder had just started. He made safes and he customized our racks. He was a competitive power lifter. I think he totaled over 2,100. But I got shoulder pads and I measured from breastplate to breastplate, neutral position, and we had an attachment made. We called it the thruster attachment, and we did a lot of that with football as well. And if you knew someone that could weld, you could have them do it to yourself, and it was a screw on, so it connected to the bar. But those are three kind of attachments that are very affordable that you can add to your landmine toolkit. And then I discovered there's a whole kind of underground world of landmine mania, which fascinates me. The WEC method, I enjoy watching their videos. It's a lot of MMA fighters, but you could see how it could correlate to any rotational sport, which is a lot of sports. But I would suggest, like, this is the link to their website. Start following them on social just to, it's impressive. And, it's a teaching protocol they're trying to profit from, which I respect that. And I might get curious enough one day to look into it, but there's a whole landmine world out there. It's a tool. I don't think you could just train with landmines and nothing else, and you wouldn't be able to load it enough. And then I will put the link on the last page with the 50 exercises. Books and follows I recommend. I like reading books that make me think. When I put it down, I have to kind of reconsider things I've done, or it makes me think. It's different than what I've done. I don't want to live in a echo chamber or confirmation bias where everything I read is just confirming what I already think I know. And I think Joel Smith does it as good as anybody, a big track background. And I just highly recommend the book. It's not a light read because you have to stop after each chapter, look back, make notes, and think about, wow, how does this look in the context of what I'm currently doing and what is worth looking at and changing. And then there's a quote there that I thought was really good and applicable to training athletes, not just strong people, but people that can move. And he also has a podcast, Just Fly, which I'd highly recommend. Always has a wide variety of topics and speakers on there. Random musings, just some quotes or things I read. Big is not strong. I don't want to misquote him, but I think it was Louis Simmons. And I see it a lot with linemen. Like, oh, that kid's big. Well, that doesn't mean he's strong just because he's big. Doesn't mean he's good. And then in terms of VBT, it's not heavy or light. It is slow or fast. And in the future newsletter, we'll dive into VBT because we just partnered with Output Sports, and we're going to have 20 of their sensors on our racks hopefully next week. So I'll let you know how that goes. But it's kind of it's a paradigm shift of how you look at at the bar moving. And I can't remember who said that, but I heard it on a podcast. Thought it was great. I got this from it was a good Lyman book. It was Olin Kreutz, Center for Chicago, and another guy that does a lot of functional range conditioning. But strong is necessary, not as strong as possible in your pursuit of athletic excellence. A lot of people, their only tool is getting stronger. Well, at some point, probably not in high school, but you reach a strength level where adding more strength isn't going to help you perform better in your sport or move better. You just need to be as strong as possible. And then last thing, again, any feedback is welcome. Content you want to hear about, length, is it too long? I'm at 10 minutes, 45 seconds. I was hoping to keep it under 10. And anything you're interested in. And again, enjoy doing it. If you know someone that's interested, then please pass it along. Thanks a lot.